Guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a great weekend. Today's video is going to focus on Tesla's Endgame. But before we jump in and share all the news that Elon has been making about his companies, I want us to think about for a moment and ground ourselves on a concept that what if the future of AI wasn't dependent on Earth's power grids, water shortages, and skyrocketing electricity bills? What if we had the opportunity to move the entire data center to space? Now, you may be sitting there and think that's a crazy idea. Sounds like it's right out of a sci-fi thriller. But in reality, behind closed doors right now, Elon has put this idea forward and it's getting real traction. We're going to take a jump into that in a moment as well. But before we do that, hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to bring you a video every day to share market insights and trends to hopefully make you a more informed and better investor. So I'd love for you to be part of the community. Let's jump in and talk about Tesla's Endgame. I'm sure you saw it already in the news, but a couple days ago, SpaceX filed paperwork with the FCC to launch 1 million satellites into orbit. Their design is to launch these satellites into orbit with the hopes to become an orbital supercomputer for AI workload, particularly focused on large-scale inference and potentially training. The next picture I'm going to show you, to me, it gives me a chuckle because it's a bit of a dystopian view. But guys, honestly, 1 million satellites is a crazy number. Just think about this. That's 67 times bigger than the total satellites we have orbiting the Earth today. Now, Elon's been making other news with his companies as well. And you may have seen it in the headlines about one company merging with the other, consolidating together. And I think that it gives us a clear view of what Elon's end game may be. Is Elon working towards consolidating or moving SpaceX, Tesla, and xAI into one company to become a giant super company? We certainly have seen the headlines. If you take a look at Reuters or Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal, we've seen it today in the screen that SpaceX and xAI are planning a mega merger of rockets and AI. And here's the interesting part. That a merger between SpaceX and xAI make a lot of sense. But we're also hearing the merger potentially of SpaceX and Tesla. So what does that translate to us? It translates Elon may be trying to push to a space where his companies are starting to consolidate inward towards each other instead of operating separately. Let's jump in and talk about why that makes sense. But first, I just want to share a video with you from an analyst that just shows how intertwined these companies are today and how financially they linked are. How financially linked these companies are. Take a listen to this and we'll jump right back.
This week, one of the pieces of news that we did on the show, guys, right, was that Tesla has made an equity investment in xAI. It was disclosed this Wednesday. It's a $2 billion investment. And, we broke that story last summer that SpaceX had already made an investment in xAI as well. So there's financial linkage between these already. But it's just a well-documented thing that, like, there are engineers working at Tesla that have also worked on SpaceX projects. xAI is a big buyer of Tesla's energy storage products. But really, what we're trying to get to Tim's original question, which is this the future where we have this kind of conglomerate underneath Elon Musk that kind of all pulls together for a shared common cause?
Clearly, you can see in that video right there, the linkage, as he said, between the companies, the financial linkage with Tesla investing in xAI, SpaceX investing in xAI, the way the engineers are moving back and forth, the way xAI is buying Tesla's energy storage products. There's so much how these companies are intertwined with each other. And if we think about it, it actually makes quite a bit of sense for SpaceX and xAI to merge. From an investor's perspective, it makes a lot of sense overall. Both companies are private. And both companies are controlled by, and while xAI has a massive ambition, it is still significantly smaller in scale relative to SpaceX. We know that just recently xAI raised $20 billion and put a valuation on the company of about $233 billion. SpaceX, on the other hand, we know is shooting for an IPO later this year and hoping to have a valuation north of $1 trillion. So folding xAI into SpaceX will not delay the IPO. It actually simplifies Elon's vision overall. But here's the part that sounds insane at first until you hear it and comprehend it, and then it doesn't sound so crazy. Elon has talked about putting data centers into space. And you may ask, like I did, very curious, like, why would we put data centers into space? It's because the AI systems that we know today, especially the ones that he will need for the kind of autonomous vehicles and humanoid robots that he wants to build, they will require an enormous amount of power and compute. We know that today projections say that data centers could eat up 4% of the global electricity by 2035. Big tech is burning billions on CapEx, but our grids are getting maxed, our water supply is scarce, and locations are limited. So space fixes that for Elon. Constant sunlight means zero energy costs, and vacuum cooling is passive. And with his Starship slashing prices and costing less to launch, scaling an insane power compute to space actually feels possible. Elon hinted that the lowest cost place for AI in 2 or 3 years would in fact be space. Space-based centers could bypass energy, cooling, and land constraints that we see on Earth. Suddenly, if that's the case, suddenly XI isn't just a rocket company. It actually becomes the infrastructure backbone for Musk's entire ecosystem. But this is where it gets interesting. In the middle of this, like, where does Tesla fit in? We know that Tesla is in the middle of a high-risk transition. The EV sales have slowed over the past 2 years. They're facing greater competition from China. And Tesla's future now depends on autonomous driving and humanoid robots. These are not car problems. These are AI and compute problems. And so, as one investor put perfectly the other day, that if you're Tesla and you're trying to build robots, autonomous cars, and rockets, all of these things fit perfectly together. The EV vehicle doesn't fit into that concept. But there's a catch overall. Merging Tesla with SpaceX is much more complicated than XAI. Tesla is a private company with a valuation north of 1.4 trillion, closer to 1.5. And a deal like this would require shareholder approval and a clear evaluation of SpaceX. And this is where investors may get nervous. Because if Tesla overpays for SpaceX, the deal could become dilutive, especially when Tesla is already trading at a forward PE ratio above 200, which is significantly higher than other companies like Meta, Microsoft, and Google. So it comes down to this. If we see later this year that SpaceX goes public first, everything changes. A public valuation would make a future Tesla SpaceX deal easier to justify for investors. And at that point, Musk wouldn't be running a car, rocket, and AI company. Musk at that point would be running a vertically integrated AI empire built from Earth to orbit and back to Earth again. The question that the investors we should have is very simple. Are we betting on Tesla or are we betting on Elon to pull off his conglomerate company that the analyst said, his vision of creating a super company, a vertically integrated empire? So what are your thoughts below? Love to hear the comments. Do you think Tesla can pull it off and create this company that Elon is mentioning? Do you think a merger between these companies makes sense, or is just another way for Elon to distract and shift the focus away from the EV business, which is shrinking? Love to hear your thoughts, guys. I hope you had a great weekend. See you on the next one.